Here we go. February 9th, Tuesday, February 9th. Video will be there. No starter today, no starter today, but I want to review a little bit. Okay, I want to review a little bit. Somebody tell me in the chat, let's go over some of the stuff from page 86. Everybody go to page 86, please, in your digital notebook. 86, 86, 86. I'm going to try and go there as well. Okay, all right, let's take a look. Page 86. All right. Hey, y'all, where's Malawi located? Where is it? Where is it? In the chat. Come on, everybody be ready. Everybody be ready. I wanna get through a lot of these. Where is it? Where's Malawi from the video? Yeah, good, good. Southeastern Africa. Good, good. All right. Next up, and y'all should have that in your notes because this is gonna be a great study tool, page 86 for the quiz on Friday. What are the major cities? Three major cities. Three major cities. What do you have? Come on. What do you got? What do you got? All right, there we go. The long way. Mzuzu and Blantyre. I actually lived in Blantyre for a year, and I've been to the long way. I've not been to Mzuzu. Mzuzu is too far north, although I wish I'd gotten there because that is the coffee region of Malawi. Okay. All right. Major physical features. What's like the most important physical feature in Malawi that the video Lake Malawi focused on? Beautiful place, amazing place. Okay. Remind me later. I could tell you a story about the time I swam in there, but I got sick. All right. Remind me to tell you that story later because it's terrible. All right. But it's beautiful. Okay. It's massive, freshwater lake, beautiful fish and snorkeling. Okay. All right. All right. Malawi is a part of what? Malawi was formed in the river, or the rivers in the lake was formed by what? Y'all know, there you go. Y'all doing that. Great Rift Valley, right? These tectonic plates shifted. And if you look at the map of Eastern Africa, all the way from basically the top, okay, all the way down to the bottom, you have like all these rivers and lakes that would follow this area where the plate shifted. And there are these, yes, impressions or depressions in the ground that were filled within water, okay, as a part of the Great Rift Valley. Yes, spot on. What's the river? What's the river? Yeah, good. Yep, Sherry River. So, great, great. What's a major resource? For me, there's are a few, but what do they focus on? Yeah, spot on. This is good. Tobacco. Tobacco. I can tell you a story about that too later. Okay? Tell you about the story about that too. About the going to a village and having everybody harvest tobacco and it all hanging inside their homes to dry out so they could sell it to the market. Okay? All right, what is Malawi's nickname? Oh, good. I like what I see here. Warm heart of Africa. Great. All right, and that is true. It is the overwhelmingly kindest, warmest place. Okay. What's the population? Population 18 million. Good, good. What ethnicities? What are some major ethnicities? There's more than just these three, but what are they? I'm glad y'all got these down. It's down in your notes. It's great. It's exciting. What about the ethnicities, y'all? What were they? Oh, a little slower on this one. Yeah, third lowest GDP, but there were three major ones that they talked about that I asked the question on. All right, we got Chewa, yeah, Ngoni's another one, but what was the last one they said? Yeah, 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 Lomwe, good, Lomwe. What's the currency? Currency's what? Kwacha, Kwacha, which is equal to about uh, three. I don't know what it is. Now it's been 10 years. So I lived there 10 years ago, 11 years ago, almost 12. My goodness. And at that point, $1 was worth 150 kwacha or 175 kwacha. I could go get some great chicken and chips, which they call chips. They call fries chips, for about 200, 350 kwacha, which is about $2. But anyways, but that's what the question was. Who are they colonized by? Who took them over? Who took over this area? Yeah, Great Britain, and it was called Nyasaland. All right. All right. Give me some stats on education. Give me some stats on education. How many people? It was in the video. The question that I asked was about. There we go. 75% go to primary school, which is elementary school, and then only 10% continue past primary school. Yep, good, good. And then who are their like allies, friends, where people travel a lot from these areas and they trade back and forth with each other? India. It was really surprising when I got there. Also Pakistan, actually. There's a large Indian population, some incredible Indian food. Okay, Great Britain or the United Kingdom, Scotland, which is part of the United Kingdom specifically, and then the neighboring countries, right? Mozambique, South Africa. In fact, a lot of the friends that I have in Malawi, they now live in South Africa. It's more developed, and they go there sometimes for school and jobs, different things. Okay, all right. So that's what y'all need to have. I'll put this in here too. Go back. Southeastern Africa. All right, and then we'll move to the history and government of Malawi. So Blantyre, the Longwe. There we go. Longwe, Mzuzu. It's also a great town called Zomba, Lake Malawi. All right, so make sure y'all have these notes down. This is gonna be a great study tool. Rift Valley. River. Tobacco. There we go. Warm Heart, Africa. 18 million. All right, there we go. Good to go. Okay, you should have that too. The video. This will obviously be in the video as well. Okay, I'm gonna minimize this, but we can go to. Y'all have two 87s or just one? I got two or one. One. All right. Hopefully y'all just have one. All right, because that'd be annoying if you had two. All right, so no start. I want to do that review instead. Okay, let's look at the summary. Today, you're going to determine the form of government or control throughout Malawi's history. We're going to look at Malawi's history today, and you're going to have to identify the type of government or form of control that's in Malawi during these different events, different time periods. We're going to compare the sources of power and governmental authority in various societies. That's our North Carolina Standard Course of Study. Africa and the Middle East is our unit. Discontent creates change, our statement of inquiry. No starter today. We're going to begin page 87, Malawi history and government, and then the ticket out the door, February 9th, ticket out the door. Your asynchronous work is to complete page 87, Malawi history and government. So here's where I need you to make sure that I'm communicating this clearly, okay? I was trying to figure out the best way to do this. I don't feel like I nailed it yet, but hang with me, okay? If you have questions, please let me know in the chat, and I will get back. I will try and respond in a timely manner, okay? So go to page 87, okay? Malawi history and government in your digital notebook. I'm gonna change that. Make sure it's right. History and government. Right, in digital notebook. Now, I want you to complete the timeline, the organizer, based on the directions below here. Okay? All right, so if we have, and this is basically also in the digital notebook, so I'm just going to go to the digital notebook, okay, until I get to the presentation. Okay? All right, so what I did here, again, I want you to change the color of the third column based on the form of government or type of control in Malawi at the time. There are four types that I want you to focus on. Imperialism, or like colonialism, is when a country outside controls you. Okay? So if that's taking place, I want you to make this third column, okay, make it solid black. You could use the drawing feature or other features as well. It does not matter to me. Dictatorship. You can make that box red if it represents a dictatorship at that time in Malawi's history. That means they were ruled by like one single person or party, and there are no free and fair elections. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't go every 4 years to the polls to vote and select your leader. Okay, and also power is not passed down to the next generation. Remember, that would be a monarchy. If there's a democracy, you're going to make it green, this third column. Okay, that means power is determined by free and fair elections. Not just elections, they have got to be free and fair elections. Okay, where there's no messing around, everything is by the book. Okay, transition, all right, you can leave it white because maybe it's in between control, or maybe there's potential anarchy where there's no control, or there's just simply a lack of government. Any questions? Can y'all put them in the chat? Any questions? Y'all put them in the chat. Okay. All right. There are a few ways you can do this, colors. And I don't know what it's going to look like on your Chromebook specifically. But if I'm looking at this, I'm going to right click and go to table, shading, and there I can change the color. If I feel like it represents imperialism, I can turn it black like that. That's one thing you can do. Okay? And again, to do that, for me, I right click so I can get like table, shading, black. Okay? All right, so that may be the cleanest and easiest way to do that. Again, other ways I believe, right? Y'all could go up to draw. I mean, maybe could be easy too, right? And just, I don't know, I don't necessarily like that very much. Maybe you can change the thickness, right? I mean, you could do that. That's not bad either. That's pretty easy. But just make it look good, because that looks terrible. All right? Any questions? Any questions? Y'all ready to go? Because you're gonna do the colors and the things after I go through the presentation. So you can make notes and different comments just to make you help you remember what colors to do and what type of government or controls taking place in Malawi. But then, okay, one other thing I forgot to tell you. In this other column, okay, I want you to write why. Why did you choose that color? Like, why is it black for imperialism? Okay, you don't have to do that for every box. You only have to do that when it changes to a new form of government or control. So let's get started. Let's get started, and we'll see here. All right, here we go. Malawi history and government. And I'm going to go pretty quick because I already gave you the notes. The notes are already in there on the digital notebook. Okay, so 1850, Scottish missionary, okay, David Livingstone, exploration of the region paves the way for missionaries, European adventurers, and traders. So in 1850, the Europeans are introduced to this area of the world because David Livingstone, he's a missionary and an explorer. He traveled there and he basically said, hey, there's this great place. Okay, I explored this region of the world. This is what it's like. There's this lake, all these different things. Okay, at that point, he called it the Lake of Stars because when you look at Lake Malawi at night, the stars are reflecting in the lake. Okay, kind of another backstory there. Okay, but that's kind of 1850. So if I'm going, this is what I would leave this. I leave it white. Okay, I would leave it white because we don't know yet. All right, I'm gonna put transition because we don't know the form of government yet. All right, that's what I would do. Yep, exactly. So you're just putting in, okay, we're gonna leave that white because we don't know the form of government yet. We don't know what's happening. Okay, maybe this is foreshadowing now that the Europeans know that there's this great place. Okay, we'll see what happens next. But that's what I would do so far. And I would leave it white. Next up, Britain establishes Nyasaland. Now we're getting into the British are taking it over. Okay, so what color do we need to make that column now? In 1891, what color do we need to make that column? In the chat. Yeah, there we go. Black, the British take over, right? There we go. So I'm going to say, so 1891. All right, I'm going to make it black here. I'm going to say imperialism because the British took over. Because the British took the land. Okay? That's imperialism, colonialism. Someone from the outside came in. Okay. All right. Questions about that? 1915, Reverend John Chilibwe. Okay, he leads a revolt against British rule. He goes to this like estate where these white Europeans, British, are controlling things and maybe even like enslaving, treating the workers poorly. And he goes into this estate, like this massive wealthy area, and they kill the white managers. Okay, and then they displayed the heads of the white managers outside of his church. Okay. Later on, he is found and shot dead by the police. He is viewed as a freedom fighter to the Malawian people. They have a holiday in his name. You can see him right there. They put him on the kwacha. Okay. They celebrate him. Now, here's the deal. Right now, the British are still in control. So for me, I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to leave it black. Okay. I'm going to leave it black right now. British are still in control, even though the Malawians are trying to, right, like take it over or stop it. They weren't successful. He was found. He was killed later. There was not a successful revolt. All right. So I'm gonna keep it black, and that means we don't have to explain why. Or we could say, the British are still in control. We could say something like that. Despite an attempted revolts. Okay. All right. 1944. If I'm going too fast, too slow, let me know. 1944. Nationalists established the Nyasaland African Congress. So here's what I want you to do in this column. I want you to look up. I want you to inquire and define nationalists and type it in there. What is the you can put in the chat too. What's the definition for nationalists? Okay, I'm gonna give you all a little bit of time. I'll turn the music on. Okay, I want you to find it. Put it in the chat, please. Go. Spot on in the chat, right? Person who strongly identifies with their own nation and vigorously supports its interests. Does that mean these nationalists, and put that definition in the chat, do they want Great Britain to be in control of Nyasaland at this time? Yes or no? Well, nationalists, they'd be, I would say, like African nationalists, right? It's like Malawi and Nyasaland nationalists. So people from Malawi, from Nyasaland, this region of the world, have formed this group. So do they want Britain to stay or leave? Yeah, they want them to leave because they want to be in control of their own nation, their own region. Okay, but right now, though, Great Britain is still in control. But we're starting to see some things happen where maybe we're going to see a shift. Here we go, 1958. Okay, Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda, referred to as the Black Messiah in Malawi or Nyasaland, denounces the Federation and returns from the US and the UK. He studied in the United States and the United Kingdom and Great Britain, okay, to lead the Nyasaland African Congress, which is this like political party. So he comes back, going to school and other places. He comes back to lead what will be this movement to get rid of the British, but the British are still in control. Okay, British are still in control. So, change that color. I'd say still black, right? Because they're still in control. The British are still in control at this point. All right. Still in control. British still in control. Here we go. 1964. Nyasaland declares independence as Malawi. Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda, the Black Messiah, becomes the president and rules over a one-party state for the next 3 decades. So now they declare independence. The British no longer are in control. So what color now do we do? What do you think? Yeah, why red? Why red? What clues here tell us that this needs to be red? What clues do you see in here that this becomes more of a dictatorship at this point? One person ruling, right? One party system, only one party. You don't have opposite parties in elections. And this person ruled for how long? Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda, how long? 30 years, okay? So we're gonna shift that, right? So we gotta change that. It's gonna be red. The stadiums in Malawi are named after they're called Kamuzu Stadium. There are 2 of them actually, one in Lilongwe and one in Blantyre. Change the red and then explain why. If y'all got any questions about Malawi as we talk about this, please let me know. Malawi gains independence and Kamuzu Banda takes control. All right. Okay, but in 78, look at this, y'all. And I want you to determine what color this should be. There are first elections since independence. Okay, what is this, 14 years later? All potential candidates must belong to the Malawi Congress Party, which is his party. And he then excludes many of them by submitting them to an English test. So they have elections, but is this a democracy? Why or why not? Is this a democracy? Why or why not? They have elections. Yeah, no, it's still one party. And you have to be approved by the president. You have to pass an English test and you have to belong to his party, which he's the leader. So even though there's an election, he would probably say, hey, yeah, there's an election. It's not fair. It's not a free and fair election. So this is not a democracy. So even though it's there, right, this should be red because it's a dictatorship still, even though there are elections. Okay, so don't be fooled when a country has an election and there's only one person that you can vote for. Don't be fooled. They'll argue that it's a democracy, but it's really not. All right. 1980s. Now I'm just going to go through the slideshow and y'all got to do your part on your thing. So I need to get through this. 1980s, several ministers. Now, when they say ministers, they're not talking about like pastors and priests, religious people. They're talking about congressmen and women. Okay. Several ministers and politicians are killed or charged with treason, the desire to like take over the government. Banda, he reshuffles his ministers regularly, preventing the emergence of a political rival. If he gets a feeling that somebody's going to take over, he gets rid of them real quick and he shuffles things around so they can't gain momentum. Okay? 93. He becomes seriously ill. This is usually what happens when a dictator is usually in power until they die. Voters in a referendum, so people vote, people kind of get together, and they reject the one-party state. They say we need to have more political parties. Okay, so other parties can hold office. So you're starting to see maybe some transition. Okay, maybe some transition. All right, here we go. 94. Bekele Melusi is elected president in the first multi-party election since independence. He immediately frees the political prisoners and reestablishes freedom of speech. What color, y'all? What color, y'all? 1994. There we go, green. We got more of a democracy now. 1994, 30 years later, after independence, 30 years after independence. Okay. Right. Melusi is reelected for a second and final 5-year term. So it looks like they have term limits where you can't run for more than, you can't be president for more than 2 terms, which is similar to the United States. Right? So they have a stronger constitution where they have these limits. Here you go, 2004. Bingu wa Mutharika wins the presidency. Okay? And his big thing is to provide these antiviral drugs, okay, to people that are struggling with AIDS in Malawi, which is a kind of really devastating community there. So a new president in 94 or 2004. Mutharika wins second term in May 2009. He was the president while I was there. His face was everywhere in every building on Chitinji, which is like their cloth. It was all over the cloth in Chitinji that people were wearing. Okay. All right, 2011. 2011. I remember this. I was not there, but I remember this. So anti-government protests. So people revolted against Bingu, President Bingu Mutharika. Leaves 19 people dead. The British halt aid, and they no longer send any support to Malawi until Malawi figures this out and they handle it properly. Okay. So you got a little bit of anarchy, a little bit of chaos there, but still Mutharika is still the president. Okay. Mutharika, so actually nobody knew if he died or not, actually. I remember this. He was sick and he like disappeared. All right, like disappeared. And nobody said anything about it for a long time. His brother Peter Mutharika tried to take control. Okay, even though he was not the vice president, but Joyce Banda was the vice president, and she became the president afterwards. Okay, in April 2012. She, some decisions she made, people didn't like, and they voted her out. They voted Bingu's brother, Peter Mutharika, to be the president in 2014. Almost done, y'all. Almost done, y'all. Hang with me. Hang with me. Here's where it gets interesting. He wins his second election by 159,000 votes, but they annulled the election because of vote tampering. So they looked at it and they said that it was not fair. So they said that there must be another election. All right, that was 2019. So they looked at it and said, nope, wasn't fair. People were messing with the ballots. This is not right. They had a new election in 2020, and his challenger ended up defeating him. Lazarus Chakwera wins the new election in 2020, and he is the current president. All right? I know that was a lot, but your job now is to make sure you look at those dates and make sure that your colors are appropriate based on the form of government. Were the British in control? Make it black. Was a dictator in charge? Make it red. Was a president, a leader that was elected in a free and fair election? Have it be green. And if it was some sort of a transition, anarchy, lack of government, you could have it be white. Okay? Any questions about how to complete that? Any questions about how to complete that? That's your asynchronous work today, is to finish that. And once if you change the type of the color, You need to explain why in the right column. Everybody go, take it out the door, please. Take it out the door. All right, everybody, please take it out the door. Objective. I believe it's accurate. Units. Statement of inquiry. And asynchronous work.